The signal first came in the dead of night. Dr. Eliza Marin stared at the jagged pattern on her monitor, heart pounding. It wasn't random, every instinct in her brilliant, skeptical mind told her that much. The rhythmic pulses, the slight variations in frequency, the symmetry, it screamed of intent. Yet, she hesitated, her fingers hovering over the keyboard. Was this it? Had humanity finally found proof it wasn't alone? "Eliza, you look like you've seen a ghost," her colleague, Anton Zhao, said as he entered the observatory's control room with a steaming cup of coffee. "Not a ghost," Eliza replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "Something else." She motioned him over, pointing at the monitor. Anton squinted at the screen. "That's not a pulsar." "No," Eliza confirmed, her excitement tempered by caution. "And it's not from any natural phenomenon I've seen. The intervals are too precise. They ran the signal through every filter and analysis tool available. It didn't match any known cosmic source, no neutron stars, no quasars, no interference from human satellites. Whatever this was, it came from deep space, far beyond the reach of Earth's influence." News of the discovery spread like wildfire. Within hours, the world's top scientists, governments, and media outlets were clamoring for information. Theories ranged from rogue AI probes to elaborate hoaxes. The United Nations convened an emergency session, and for once, the nations of Earth seemed united in their curiosity and apprehension. Eliza found herself thrust into the spotlight. The humble astrophysicist from New Mexico became the de facto spokesperson for the discovery. Standing before a sea of cameras and microphones, she explained the significance of the signal. "We've detected a repeating pattern originating approximately 12 light-years away, in the direction of the Tau Ceti system," she said. "It is consistent with artificial origins, though we are still in the early stages of analysis." One reporter raised a hand. "Dr. Marin, are you saying this is evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence?" Eliza hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "I'm saying it's a possibility we cannot ignore." Behind the scenes, the world's most powerful nations scrambled to prepare a response. An international team of linguists, mathematicians, and physicists worked around the clock to decode the message. Patterns emerged, prime numbers, geometric sequences, and finally, a visual representation, a crude but unmistakable star map pointing to Earth's location. "They know we're here," Anton murmured as he stared at the map. "And they're inviting us to respond," Eliza replied. Her mind raced with questions. Who were they? What did they want? Why now? The decision to reply was fraught with debate. Some feared it was a trap, an invitation for conquest. Others argued it was humanity's duty to reach out, to embrace this moment as the turning point in history. In the end, a simple reply was crafted. Using the same frequency and pattern, Earth sent back a message of greetings encoded in mathematics and binary code. It concluded with an image of humanity, a representation of a man and woman standing side by side, surrounded by symbols of Earth's diversity. The waiting was excruciating. Days turned to weeks, and still, no reply came. Some began to doubt the authenticity of the signal, calling it a cosmic coincidence or an elaborate prank. But Eliza refused to give up hope. Then, one night, the stars spoke back. It began with a flicker in the data stream, an anomaly that quickly resolved into something far more deliberate. The signal returned, louder and more complex than before. As Eliza and Anton deciphered the data, their jaws dropped. The new transmission contained detailed schematics of a vessel, a ship unlike anything humanity had ever conceived. It was massive, its design sleek and organic, with a propulsion system that defied known physics. And it was moving. "They're coming," Eliza whispered, her voice a mix of awe and trepidation. Anton nodded, his eyes wide. But why? For the first time in human history, the question was not whether we were alone. It was whether we were ready. The alien craft announced its arrival not with violence or bluster but with a haunting elegance. It appeared at the very edges of the solar system, a shimmering, crescent-shaped vessel, visible even to amateur astronomers with high-powered telescopes. Its surface gleamed like polished obsidian, reflecting the faint light of distant stars. For weeks, humanity had been preparing for this moment, though no amount of preparation seemed enough. Satellites, telescopes, and long-range scanners focused on the vessel, analyzing its every movement. It didn't seem hostile, at least, not yet. The ship slowed as it approached the Kuiper belt, hovering near the icy edge of the solar system. The world was on edge. The United Nations established a global command center in Geneva, where scientists, military officials, and political leaders debated endlessly over how to proceed. Some argued for caution, others for a show of strength. But amid the chaos, a small, hand-picked team prepared for an unprecedented mission, a face-to-face meeting with the visitors. Dr. Eliza Marin stood on the observation deck of the Ascension, the state-of-the-art research vessel that would take humanity's first step toward the alien craft. Beside her, Anton Zhao gazed out the window at Earth, now a glowing marble suspended in the void. Nervous, he asked, breaking the silence. "I'd be lying if I said no," Eliza replied. Her breath fogged the glass as she exhaled. "This is bigger than us, bigger than anything we've ever done. What if we mess it up?" Anton chuckled, though his smile was faint. "We're humanity's ambassadors, Eliza. If anyone's going to mess this up, it'll probably be the politicians. Our job is to make contact and figure out what they want." Eliza's lips quirked upward, but the weight of the mission pressed heavily on her. The Ascension was humanity's finest creation, a fusion of cutting-edge technology and international cooperation. Yet as advanced as it was, it paled in comparison to the alien craft. As the ship accelerated toward the rendezvous point, the tension among the crew was palpable. The mission consisted of scientists, linguists, engineers, and a small contingent of military personnel, just in case. Their instructions were clear: establish communication, gauge the aliens' intentions, and avoid provocation at all costs. 3 days into the journey, the Ascension crossed the orbit of Neptune, its instruments now close enough to capture detailed images of the alien ship. The vessel's design was mesmerizing, its surface was alive with shifting patterns of light, as though it were studying the humans as much as they were studying it. "It's beautiful," Anton murmured as he examined the holographic display. "Beautiful and intimidating," Eliza added. Her fingers danced across the console as she analyzed the data. "Its energy signature is off the charts. Whatever powers that thing makes our fusion reactors look like campfires." As they drew closer, the alien vessel responded in an unexpected way. A section of its hull began to shift, peeling back like petals of a flower. From within emerged a smaller craft, sleek in silver, which slowly advanced toward the Ascension. "Are they meeting us halfway?" one of the engineers asked, his voice tinged with awe. The crew braced themselves as the smaller alien ship stopped a few kilometers away, its lights pulsing in a rhythmic sequence. "It's a signal," Eliza said, her pulse quickening. "They're trying to communicate." The Ascension sent back a carefully crafted reply, repeating the sequence with their own lights. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the alien ship emitted a new pattern, one that was eerily similar to Earth's response, but with subtle variations. "They're mirroring us," Anton said. "But they're adding their own twist. It's like a handshake." The exchange continued, each side building on the other's patterns. The crew's excitement grew as they realized the aliens were engaging in a form of dialogue, simple, but unmistakable. Finally, the alien craft moved closer. Its surface rippled, and a beam of light extended toward the Ascension, creating a translucent corridor between the two ships. "Is that an invitation?" Anton asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Eliza nodded, her throat dry. "It has to be. They want us to come aboard." The mission commander hesitated, his eyes flicking between Eliza and the glowing corridor. "This is it. We go in, or we lose the chance." Eliza stepped forward, her heart pounding. "We came this far to make contact. Let's not back out now." Clad in advanced EVA suits, Eliza, Anton, and a small team crossed the light bridge. The sensation was surreal, like walking through liquid crystal. As they entered the alien vessel, they were greeted by an otherworldly sight, towering, biomechanical structures that pulsed with life, and air that hummed with faint, musical vibrations. Then they saw them. The aliens emerged from the shadows, their forms tall and slender, with luminous eyes that seemed to pierce through to the soul. They moved with an elegant grace, their bodies a fusion of organic tissue and metallic plating. Eliza took a cautious step forward, her voice steady despite the tremor in her chest. "We are from Earth. We come in peace." One of the beings tilted its head, its glowing eyes narrowing. Then, in a voice that resonated both audibly and within their minds, it replied, "Peace is a fragile thing." The first meeting had begun, and humanity's place in the cosmos would never be the same. The air inside the alien vessel was thick with a strange, otherworldly hum, less a sound and more an impression that vibrated within the very bones of the humans who had stepped aboard. Eliza tried to steady her breathing, her gaze locked on the towering beings that stood before them. The aliens were unlike anything humanity had imagined. Their elongated forms shimmered with bioluminescent patterns that shifted in rhythm with the hum, and their faces bore no mouths, only glowing, orb-like eyes that seemed alive with intelligence. "Peace is a fragile thing," the alien had said. The words lingered in Eliza's mind, both haunting and profound. The voice, if it could be called that, had not been spoken aloud, but delivered directly into their thoughts, layered with emotions that were difficult to process: curiosity, caution, and something that felt almost like sorrow. "Did anyone else hear that?" Anton whispered, his eyes darting around the room. "We all did," Eliza replied. Her voice was steady, but her hands clenched the sides of her suit. "They're speaking directly to us." The lead alien stepped forward, its movements fluid and deliberate. A series of lights flashed along its torso, forming intricate patterns that pulsed and flowed. Moments later, another voice resonated in their minds, this time softer and more curious. "Your kind has grown quickly. You are young, curious, reckless. We are explorers," Eliza said carefully, stepping closer. Her words were translated into a series of light patterns by the small device mounted on her suit, a product of humanity's best guesses at how to bridge the communication gap. "We wish to understand you and your intentions." The aliens exchanged glances, or what passed for glances in their species. The lead figure's lights dimmed slightly, a subtle shift that carried a weight Eliza couldn't explain. "We have observed," it said, "for longer than you would understand. We intervened, when your kind was fragile. When the first sparks of your civilization began to glow. You were not ready then." "Intervened?" Anton asked, his voice sharp. "What do you mean? What did you do?" The alien's eyes brightened, and a series of images flooded their minds. They saw flashes of ancient Earth, early humans carving tools, building fires, struggling against nature's fury. Then, faint hints of alien influence, subtle guidance in agriculture, medicine, and engineering. Eliza staggered back, overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of the revelation. "You've been shaping us," she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Guiding," the alien corrected. "Preserving. You were unique." Anton bristled, his voice rising. "So you've been playing God with us this whole time? Watching us like some kind of experiment?" The hum in the air grew louder, almost as if the ship itself were responding to Anton's accusation. The lead alien tilted its head. "Not gods. Stewards. Your survival is not guaranteed, and your kind has become visible." The word hung in the air like a storm cloud. Eliza frowned, her mind racing. "Visible to what?" The alien hesitated, its glowing patterns dimming. When it spoke again, its tone was grave. "The Unmaker." The name struck a chill through the humans, though none of them understood its meaning. "What is the Unmaker?" Eliza asked, her voice steady despite the knot in her stomach. "A force that consumes," the alien replied. "It scours the stars for young civilizations and erases them before they can grow. It is drawn to ambition, to rapid progress. Your kind has ignited a beacon in the dark." The room fell silent. The humans exchanged uneasy glances. Why warn us now? Eliza asked. Why not stop it before it comes? The alien's lights pulsed slowly, like the rhythm of a heartbeat. Because it is already near. A holographic display materialized in the center of the room, showing a star map of the galaxy. A red tendril crept across the map, snaking closer to the solar system. This Unmaker, Anton said, his voice shaking slightly. Have you fought it before? We have survived it, the alien said. But not without cost. Eliza's thoughts raced. The aliens weren't invincible, despite their advanced technology. They were survivors, refugees of a cosmic war humanity was only beginning to comprehend. What do we do? She asked, taking another step forward. How do we stop it? The alien's gaze fixed on her, its glowing eyes narrowing. You cannot stop it alone. Your kind is resourceful, but fragmented. To survive, you must choose, unity or destruction. Eliza felt the weight of the ultimatum settle on her shoulders. The aliens had extended a hand, but it was not without conditions. Humanity would have to stand together, or risk being extinguished by a force beyond comprehension. Before she could respond, the alien stepped closer, its towering form casting a long shadow. It raised a hand-like appendage, and a beam of light shot from its palm, embedding itself in the small communication device on Eliza's suit. This will guide you, the alien said. A tool to unify your kind, if you are willing to listen. Eliza's heart pounded as the hum around them grew louder, signaling the end of the encounter. The aliens began to withdraw into the shadows, their forms fading like wraiths. As the humans stepped back onto the Ascension, the light bridge dissolving behind them, Eliza clutched the device embedded in her suit. She stared out at the alien vessel, 1,000 questions racing through her mind. The stars had spoken, and they had made one thing clear: humanity's survival would depend not on its technology or its armies, but on its ability to stand united against the darkness closing in. The Ascension drifted in orbit near the alien vessel, the silence of space broken only by the hum of the ship's engines and the occasional chatter of its crew. Back aboard, Eliza, Anton, and the team struggled to process everything they had just experienced. The device embedded in Eliza's suit had gone dormant, a cold, metallic weight that seemed to pulse faintly when she held it. They've been watching us for millennia, Anton said, pacing the briefing room. Influencing us, guiding us. And now, they're warning us about some galactic death machine. How much of our history is even ours? Does it matter? Eliza shot back, her tone sharper than intended. We're here now. What matters is that something is coming, and they've given us a chance to prepare. Anton stopped pacing and turned to her. Prepare how? They've dropped this on us without a clear plan. Unify or die isn't exactly helpful advice. The mission commander, Colonel Renata Alvarez, raised a hand to silence the argument. Her voice was calm but firm. We're not here to debate history. We need to focus on what we know and what comes next. Dr. Marin, has the device given any indication of how it works? Eliza glanced down at the metallic object embedded in her suit. It looked almost organic, its surface shifting subtly as though alive. Not yet. But I think it's more than a tool. It's a key, or a guide. I just don't know how to activate it. We need answers, Alvarez said. If the aliens are right about this Unmaker, we're on borrowed time. The briefing was interrupted by a soft chime from the comms console. Incoming transmission, a crew member reported. From the alien vessel. The room fell silent as the display screen lit up, showing a shimmering representation of the lead alien. Its glowing eyes fixed on the crew, and its voice resonated in their minds once more. You hesitate. This is expected, it said. Your kind must now choose, stand together, or fall alone. How do we stand together when we don't even understand what we're facing? Eliza asked, stepping forward. You've given us warnings, but no concrete solutions. What is the Unmaker? How do we fight it? The alien tilted its head, its bioluminescent patterns shifting into slower, somber pulses. The Unmaker is not alive. It is an ancient force, created by those who once sought to control the galaxy. It calculates, consumes, and evolves. It sees civilizations as anomalies to correct. Anomalies, Anton muttered. So we're just glitches in the universe's programming? The alien ignored the comment and continued. The Unmaker was dormant for many of your generations, but your rapid progress has awakened it. It moves toward your star, drawn by the energy signatures of your machines, your satellites, your industry. Eliza's stomach sank. You mean our technology is like a beacon? Correct, the alien replied. The more advanced your civilization becomes, the brighter the beacon shines. Colonel Alvarez stepped forward, her voice laced with steel. If you've survived the Unmaker before, then you must have a way to defeat it. What aren't you telling us? The alien paused, its glowing eyes dimming slightly. Survival is not victory. We fled. We scattered. We adapted, but we did not defeat it. You may succeed where we failed, but only if you embrace what makes you unique. And what's that? Anton asked, his tone skeptical. The alien's lights pulsed in a way that almost resembled amusement. You are unpredictable. Chaotic. Driven by instinct and imagination. These traits make you dangerous, and also capable of great unity. But unity must be chosen, not forced. As the transmission ended, the room erupted in debate. Some argued for immediate action, suggesting global governments be informed and preparations made for war. Others worried about the chaos such a revelation would unleash on Earth. Eliza remained silent, her fingers tracing the edges of the device. Something about the alien's words echoed in her mind: unity must be chosen. Humanity had fought wars over resources, ideologies, and borders. Could it truly come together to face a threat that most wouldn't even believe? Later, in the quiet of her quarters, Eliza studied the device again. She had tried everything: proximity to computers, exposure to different frequencies, but it remained inert. Frustrated, she placed it on her desk and stared at it. "What are you?" she whispered. As if in response, the device emitted a faint glow. Eliza's eyes widened, and she hesitantly reached for it. The moment her fingers brushed its surface, a flood of images and sensations overwhelmed her. She saw Earth from space, its continents glowing faintly as if connected by invisible threads. She felt a pulse, a rhythm that seemed to echo the heartbeat of the planet itself. And then, she heard a voice, not the alien's, but something else. "Unite the threads," the voice said, soft but resolute. The vision ended abruptly, leaving Eliza gasping for air. She clutched the device tightly, her mind racing. It wasn't just a tool, it was a conduit, a way to synchronize humanity's efforts. But how could she convince billions of people to set aside their differences in time? The alien's warning echoed in her mind: unity or destruction. Determined, Eliza stood and activated the ship's comms. "Colonel Alvarez, I need to address the crew. And after that, we need to contact Earth." The colonel's voice came through, sharp and curious. "What's this about, Dr. Marin?" Eliza stared at the glowing device in her hand, the weight of its meaning settling on her shoulders. "A way forward. But it won't be easy." For the first time in her life, she truly understood what was at stake. Humanity had one chance to rise above its divisions, or risk becoming another forgotten spark extinguished in the vastness of space. Earth's response to the revelations from the Ascension was anything but uniform. When Dr. Eliza Marin and her team delivered the news, a warning of an ancient cosmic force bearing down on humanity, there were mixed reactions. Governments scrambled to validate the claim. Media outlets spun the story into hysteria or conspiracy, while countless citizens dismissed it outright. But there were those who listened. At the United Nations headquarters in Geneva, representatives of the world's nations convened in an emergency summit. The broadcast from the alien vessel was played again, the glowing figure issuing its ominous warning about the Unmaker. Though skepticism filled the room, the evidence was hard to deny. Eliza and Anton, still aboard the Ascension, Join the summit virtually. Colonel Alvarez sat beside them, her sharp gaze scanning the diplomats as Eliza spoke. "We're not here to demand or dictate," Eliza said, her voice steady but urgent. "We're here to ask for cooperation. This is bigger than any one nation, any one ideology. The Unmaker doesn't care about borders or politics, it cares about annihilation." A Russian delegate leaned forward, his expression skeptical. "You speak of unity, Dr. Marin, but humanity has never been united. Why should we believe that this time will be any different?" Eliza held up the device that had been given to her aboard the alien ship. Its surface glowed faintly, pulsing with a rhythm that matched her own heartbeat. "Because this time, we have a choice. The aliens gave us this for a reason. It's not just a warning, it's a tool. And I believe it can help us coordinate on a level we've never achieved before." "What does it do?" asked a delegate from India. "I'm still figuring that out," Eliza admitted, "but I've seen glimpses of its potential. It's a conduit, a way to share information, to synchronize efforts across vast distances. Imagine every nation on Earth working in perfect harmony, sharing knowledge and resources as if they were one organism. That's what this offers us." The room erupted into murmurs. Some were intrigued, others wary. Anton leaned into the camera feed, his voice calm but firm. "You don't have to trust us. But you need to trust that this threat is real. If we don't act, the Unmaker will reach us, and we won't have the luxury of debate." One delegate, an older woman from Brazil, stood. "Dr. Marin, if what you're saying is true, then we need a plan. Not just words, a plan. What do you propose?" Eliza took a deep breath. She had spent days piecing together fragments of the alien's guidance, interpreting the visions the device had shown her. "First, we need to build what I'm calling the Unity Grid. A global network that links satellites, research stations, and communication hubs into a single system. The device can act as the core, amplifying and connecting these efforts. And second, we need to prepare for the worst. The aliens survived by fleeing, but they weren't united. If we can combine our resources, our defenses, our ingenuity, we might have a chance to stand our ground. But that means no secrets, no holding back technology. It means full transparency between nations." The room fell into heavy silence. It was an ambitious proposal, one that required humanity to overcome centuries of mistrust. "Do you truly believe this is possible?" the Russian delegate asked. Eliza didn't hesitate. "I have to. Because if it isn't, then we're already lost." Seeds of cooperation. The days that followed were chaotic but hopeful. Nations began committing resources to the Unity Grid, though some did so reluctantly. Skepticism remained high, but the urgency of the situation drove unlikely alliances. The device became the focal point of the operation. Scientists, engineers, and linguists from around the world studied it, trying to unlock its secrets. Eliza spent countless hours in the lab, experimenting with the glowing artifact. Late one night, as she worked alone, the device suddenly activated. It projected a series of holographic images, schematics, star charts, and alien symbols that hovered in the air. Eliza's eyes widened as she realized what it was showing her. The Unity Grid wasn't just a defensive network, it was a weapon. The schematics depicted a massive energy field that could be generated by combining Earth's technological output with the device's amplification capabilities. It was designed to repel the Unmaker, creating a barrier that would disrupt its destructive patterns. But there was a catch. The energy required would leave Earth vulnerable. Every major power grid, every satellite, every piece of technology would have to contribute to the field, leaving humanity temporarily blind and powerless. It was a gamble, a single shot at survival. The warning. As Eliza presented the discovery to the global task force, the tension in the room was palpable. "This is it," she said, pointing to the schematics. "This is how we fight back. But it's not without risk. If the Unmaker breaks through, we'll have nothing left to stop it." "Do we even know if it will work?" Anton asked. "We don't," Eliza admitted. "But it's the best chance we have. Colonel Alvarez stood, her presence commanding. If we're going to do this, we need every nation to commit fully. No half measures, no second guessing. We'll need absolute coordination, and the Unity Grid has to be ready before the Unmaker arrives. The deadline loomed like a shadow over Earth. The aliens' warning had been clear, the Unmaker was already near. And as the first pieces of the Unity Grid fell into place, Eliza couldn't shake the feeling that humanity's true test was yet to come, not just in facing the Unmaker, but in proving that it could rise above its divisions when it mattered most. The Unity Grid neared completion. Satellites once used for military surveillance were repurposed to serve the network. Laboratories and factories worldwide worked around the clock to produce the components needed to integrate Earth's power grids and communication systems into a single, synchronized system. The scale of cooperation was unprecedented, but so were the challenges. Mistrust simmered just beneath the surface. Some governments resisted full transparency, reluctant to reveal the extent of their military technologies. Others doubted the Unmaker's existence, questioning whether this monumental effort was a misguided distraction. Eliza found herself at the center of the storm, juggling scientific breakthroughs and political negotiations. The device, her constant companion, revealed more about its purpose with each passing day, guiding her toward solutions that were just beyond humanity's grasp. But every discovery brought new questions. One night, as she reviewed a report on the energy output required for the Unity Grid's defensive barrier, the device activated without warning. A holographic projection filled her quarters, showing Earth from orbit. A dark tendril snaked toward the planet, its form jagged and unnatural. It was the Unmaker, its approach no longer theoretical. Eliza's heart pounded as the image shifted. She saw cities in chaos, power grids flickering, and satellites tumbling from orbit. The Unity Grid was holding, but barely. And then the vision ended, leaving her in silence. The message was clear, time was running out. Divided loyalties. The next morning, Eliza convened a meeting with Colonel Alvarez and the heads of the Unity Grid's global task force. She shared the vision the device had shown her. "We have less time than we thought," she said. "The Unmaker is accelerating. We need to bring the grid online within a week." "A week?" Alvarez's eyes narrowed. "That's impossible. Some nations haven't even completed their sections of the network." "They're dragging their feet," Anton said, frustration evident in his voice. "Some of them think this is a ploy, an excuse for the big players to seize control." "We don't have time for politics," Eliza snapped. "If we don't act now, none of it will matter." The room fell into tense silence. Finally, Alvarez spoke. "We need leverage. Something to convince the holdouts that this threat is real." Eliza hesitated, then glanced at the device. "There's a way," she said slowly. "The device can project what I've seen. If we show them the vision, the Unmaker's approach, maybe it'll be enough to get them on board." "It's risky," Alvarez said. "If they think it's fabricated." "It's a risk we have to take," Eliza interrupted. The vision unleashed. A global broadcast was arranged, with representatives from every nation watching. Eliza stood in the middle of the stage, the device glowing faintly in her hands. She took a deep breath and began. "For centuries, humanity has looked to the stars and wondered if we were alone. Now we know the answer, and the truth is more terrifying than we ever imagined." She activated the device, and the holographic vision filled the air behind her. The dark tendril of the Unmaker snaked toward Earth, its jagged form radiating malice. The images of chaos and destruction unfolded again, showing the Unity Grid struggling to hold the line. "This is what's coming," Eliza said, her voice steady despite the lump in her throat. "The Unmaker is real, and it's almost here. We have one chance to stop it. But only if we stand together." The room was silent as the vision ended. For a moment, Eliza thought she had failed. Then, one by one, representatives began to speak. "We'll commit the resources," said a delegate from Japan. "We'll prioritize the grid," added a representative from Germany. Even the most reluctant nations began to pledge their support. The final countdown. The Unity grid was completed in record time. Satellites synchronized, power grids interconnected, and the device was installed at the grid's core. It pulsed with a steady rhythm, its glow growing brighter as the system came online. Eliza stood in the control room, surrounded by the best minds humanity had to offer. The tension was palpable as the final countdown began. Grid synchronization at 98%, a technician reported. Energy levels stable. Good, Alvarez said. Let's keep it that way. But just as the grid reached full activation, the first signs of the Unmaker appeared. Sensors picked up massive energy fluctuations near the edge of the solar system. A dark, shifting mass emerged, its form unlike anything human eyes had ever seen. The Unmaker wasn't a ship or a machine, it was a living force, a swirling void that consumed everything in its path. It's here, Anton whispered. The room fell silent as the Unmaker approached. Its tendrils stretched out, probing the edges of the grid. The defensive barrier flared to life, a shimmering field of light that pushed back against the darkness. For a moment, it seemed to work. The Unmaker hesitated, its movements slowing. But then it struck. A massive tendril slammed into the barrier, sending shockwaves rippling across the grid. The lights flickered, and alarms blared. Energy output dropping, a technician shouted. The grid can't sustain this for long. Eliza clenched her fists, her mind racing. The device was glowing brighter than ever, almost as if it were alive. This isn't enough, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. What do you mean? Alvarez demanded. Eliza looked at the device, then at the barrier struggling to hold back the Unmaker. The grid was never meant to fight it alone. The aliens said we had to choose unity, and that means every one of us. Not just the grid, but humanity itself. What are you saying? Anton asked. Eliza took a deep breath, her eyes blazing with determination. We have to amplify it. Every city, every person. They have to be part of this. The grid has to connect with all of us. It was a gamble, a leap of faith, but it was the only chance they had. The control room of the Ascension buzzed with tension as Eliza's words hung in the air. Amplify the Unity grid to include everyone? It sounded impossible, but then, everything about this mission had been impossible from the start. Colonel Alvarez's gaze locked onto Eliza's. You're saying we need to link the grid directly to humanity itself? How would that even work? Eliza held up the glowing device. This is more than just a tool, it's a bridge. It's shown me visions of connection, of the potential we've barely tapped into. If we can use it to synchronize the thoughts, emotions, and energy of every human being on Earth, we might be able to push the Unmaker back. The Unity grid isn't just about technology, it's about us. Anton frowned, his face pale. Eliza, even if that's possible, you're talking about connecting billions of minds. What if it doesn't work? What if it overloads the grid, or worse, us? Eliza met his gaze, her voice quiet but resolute. If we don't try, we're already dead. A leap of faith. The announcement went out across the world. For the first time in history, humanity was asked to participate in a singular, united act, not of war or rebellion, but of survival. From bustling metropolises to remote villages, every human was instructed to focus their thoughts and energy on one shared goal, to protect Earth. Scientists scrambled to modify the Unity grid, linking it to neural feedback systems and broadcasting devices. Meanwhile, the device at the heart of it all began to pulse with increasing intensity, as though it, too, was alive. Eliza stood in the control room, monitoring the final preparations. She felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her. Billions of lives were depending on her plan, on her gamble. Energy levels are stable, a technician reported. Neural synchronization modules are online. Anton glanced at her. You ready for this? She exhaled slowly. Not even a little. The connection. The Unmaker drew closer, its massive, shifting form now visible from Earth's surface as a dark smear against the stars. Its tendrils slammed against the Unity Grid's barrier, sending shockwaves through the network. "It's breaking through," Alvarez said. "We're running out of time." Eliza placed her hands on the glowing device. She felt it respond, warmth spreading through her fingers and up her arms. Closing her eyes, she focused her thoughts, letting them align with the rhythm of the grid. "All systems online," a voice announced. Eliza opened her eyes. "Activate the neural link." Across the globe, people paused whatever they were doing. Some meditated, others prayed, and many simply stared at the sky, their minds reaching outward. For a moment, there was only silence. And then it happened. The Unity Grid flared to life, its barrier transforming from a flickering shield to a radiant, pulsating wave of light. Eliza gasped as the neural link surged through her, connecting her mind to billions of others. She felt them, every fear, every hope, every heartbeat. Humanity, in all its chaos and beauty, was united as one. The device's glow intensified, projecting the collective energy into the Unity Grid. The barrier expanded, pushing back against the Unmaker's tendrils. The battle of wills. The Unmaker roared, not in sound, but in a psychic wave that rippled through the link. It wasn't just a machine, it was a conscious force, ancient and unyielding. It pushed harder, testing the strength of humanity's unity. Eliza staggered as the psychic wave struck her. She felt the fear and doubt spreading through the link, threatening to unravel the connection. "Stay with me," she whispered, gripping the device. "We can do this." Anton's voice came through the comms. "Eliza, people are panicking. The link is destabilizing." She closed her eyes, reaching deeper into the connection. "Listen to me," she shouted, her voice resonating through the link. "We've come this far together. We've survived wars, disasters, and every challenge the universe has thrown at us. We are stronger than fear. Stronger than this thing trying to destroy us. Hold the line, together." Her words rippled through the network, steadying the connection. The fear began to fade, replaced by determination. The Unity Grid surged with renewed energy, its barrier shining brighter than ever. The Unmaker recoiled, its tendrils disintegrating as they touched the light. The final push. The Unmaker concentrated its remaining energy into one final assault. Its core shifted, forming a massive tendril that lashed out at the barrier. The grid flickered under the strain. Eliza screamed as the device grew almost unbearably hot in her hands. She felt the weight of billions of minds pressing against her own, but she refused to let go. "Just a little more," she whispered. "We're almost there." The tendril struck the barrier, and for a moment, it seemed like the grid would collapse. But then, the collective will of humanity surged through the network, amplifying the barrier's strength. The light of the Unity Grid exploded outward, engulfing the Unmaker. Its form shattered, fragments of its dark energy dissipating into the void. And then, there was silence. A new dawn. The Unity Grid powered down, its light fading as the connection severed. Eliza collapsed to her knees, the device slipping from her hands. Around her, the control room erupted into cheers and sobs of relief. "We did it," Anton said, his voice shaky. "We actually did it." Eliza smiled weakly, tears streaming down her face. "No," she said. "We did it. All of us." Across the globe, people looked to the stars with a renewed sense of wonder and hope. For the first time in history, humanity had faced an existential threat and emerged victorious, not because of its technology or weapons, but because of its unity. Eliza picked up the device, its glow now faint but steady. She knew the aliens' warning had been more than a challenge, it had been a lesson. As Earth rebuilt and moved forward, one truth remained clear: humanity was strongest when it stood together. And if the stars ever spoke back again, they would do so knowing that humanity was ready to answer.